Could your healthy foods cause fat gains or prevent fat loss? Are you possibly experiencing gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation because of what you've known as healthy foods? Well, it turns out, yes. There are four main categories of foods that are the potential cause of health issues for you. On this episode, we discuss healthy foods, how they cause fat, and how to know and what to do about it. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top struggles and concerns and really hope to inspire you about the way we can age. I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your mindset so you can have the energy and the vitality that you want, need, and deserve in this second and better half. And this episode potentially will blow your mind. So before we babble any further, let's dive right into it. Sara Banta is the owner of Accelerated Health Products, in addition to the host of Accelerated Health Radio and TV. Her goal is to help her clients and listeners to reach their optimal state of health through proper detox supplements, cutting-edge technologies, and modalities. Sara herself hit rock bottom when Western medicine couldn't give her answers or solutions. She discovered natural solutions that actually worked. As she was healing from Crohn's disease, hormonal issues, PCOS, IBS, and heavy metal toxicity, she was hit with her 9-year-old son's diagnosis of leukemia. It was that moment when she knew she had a bigger calling in life to open people's eyes to the world of natural healing. Fast forward to today, where she serves her clients and listeners with cutting-edge protocols that combine scalar frequency-based supplements, Chinese medicine, healing devices, and much more to detox, reset, and rebuild their body, mind, and spirit. Sara, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Deborah. It's such a pleasure.
And I should say to listeners, and Sara, you know this, of course, firsthand, but I am literally only about ankle deep into Sara's detox. So y'all know I don't share anything with you that I don't use myself, love and trust. And Sara's already gained my trust. So the content she delivers is so much exactly what you all ask from me. And that is, don't just tell me what to do, but tell me how to do it and tell me why I'm doing it and how it's going to benefit me. And I am getting that so well from Sara. I see what's involved and already gotten started myself. I don't know enough yet, will by the time I release this, as to what results have I found. And you will be sure you'll get all the dirt in the notes. But first of all, I'd like to go a step back with you. So I know that your journey, the path you thought you were on changed. What was it before your own health issues and then that of your son hit? Where were you going? How are you going to spend your life?
You know what? I was a straight A student. I went to Stanford. I was a national rower in high school. So I thought, oh, you put a goal out there and you go and you get it and you go from point A to B, and that's the way life works. And I was into the financial markets. I was a stockbroker, and then I went into real estate. And that's kind of when on my personal life started unraveling my health. I always knew my stomach wasn't as strong as everyone else's in the family. And so I was always a quote unquote picky eater. But fast forward to all of my issues that piled on. And as you know, you go through 3 pregnancies and your body says, I don't care about you. I'm going to give every ounce of nutrients to this thing that's growing inside of you. So that, of course, took an even bigger toll on my body. And then fast forward to my son's issue. You'll do anything for your child more than yourself. And you know what? I just talked to him. He's a healthy college kid. He himself was a record holder in crew from high school. We joke that all through elementary school, junior high, and high school for all three of my kids, no one missed a day of school. No one's been on an antibiotic ever since the accelerated silver was in our life, which is my flagship product. And it bigger than that, Deborah, it taught me that anything is reversible. Any chronic disease is overcome. And every time me or a family member has, whether it's a health challenge or a life challenge, friend, school, whatever it is, I always sit there with that person, and whether it's my child or me, myself, and say, thank you, God, for this challenge. I know it's going to bring such a bigger outcome than I'm expecting. And that's what this business is. That's what my company grew out of is I was not expecting to do this. And if you told the high school version of myself that I'd be in front of a microphone, in front of thousands of people, I would have laughed because I am an introvert. And I just feel like this information has to get out there. So this is bigger than me. This is not about me.
Well, thank you so much for that explanation. And I want for all of our listeners who may have okay, they heard this, but it didn't resonate with them. They didn't know what this meant. I want this to not escape them. So can you talk, and then we'll dive into healthy foods and how they may be actually preventing weight loss and or causing fat gain. So don't go away, listeners. We're on track. But scalar frequency-based supplements, I mean, that's a mouthful. To our listeners, could you just put that in lay terms? What does that mean?
Okay, well, you're going to start hearing about frequency healing. 2022 is the year that all of this is coming out, whether it's health devices, whether it's scalar enhanced frequency supplements, whether it's an ultrasound that you get when you need to go to the doctor. All of that is frequency. So what we do is we take a supplement like the silver, which is colloidal silver, is known for boosting the immune system, for antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, most pathogens. It's been known for thousands of years. So what we do is we've taken that and made it a nano silver, which has very little small particles that have really good absorption, much better than a colloidal version. But then we enhance it with scalar frequencies that are healing. So this is based on Nikola Tesla's technology, and these frequencies are embedded in the supplement to enhance the absorption and enhance the efficacy of the supplement. So we have the silver, the accelerated gold. Gold is known for calming the mind, anxiety, depression. And we have the acceleridine, which is iodine, that not only gives your thyroid the proper iodine, but it actually has frequencies in it to detox the cells from radiation and heavy metals, which is so important right now. And that's one thing that could be holding your clients back. They're doing all the right things, but their thyroids are bombarded with this radiation and the heavy metals from our toxins in our food and our environment and what else is going on in the 2020s of our lives right now. So that is able to detox the thyroid and detox the cells from those toxins that cause chronic disease, slow down the thyroid and metabolism, and cause cancer and other big diseases. So, all of the supplements that are enhanced with scalar frequencies are essentially it's kind of like the power 1-2 punch, where you're getting the supplement itself and what it does, but increased efficacy and increased absorption with the enhancement of the frequency.
Fantastic answer. Okay. And that little tidbit, by the way, if you're listening and you are a fitness professional or a health coach here at Flipping 50 listening, we're doing a special podcast edition for you where Sara and I are going to do a little Q&A specifically for you in working with clients. So that will be coming out soon. You can look for the link to that below the show notes for this episode, and we'll be kind of sharing each of them with you. Sarah, let's dive into this. So, the reason many people tuned in was definitely the title, I'm sure. Like, what the healthy foods I'm eating could be the reason I'm not getting the progress. So, which healthy foods are the first place to look for potential problems for individuals like our listeners who are quote unquote eating healthy and they're exercising, making the lifestyle changes, but not feeling they're making progress they deserve?
As you're talking, I'm sitting there listening to, thinking to myself, this was me. And God has used me in so many ways to show me that how this manifests, because I've had times where I'm working out, I'm doing everything right, and I'm bloated. And the just water retention, the brain fog, the scales not moving, or I've got clients, especially women, I feel like. But first, I want to go back to the things that can trip up the detox pathways in your body. And that is stress. And it's a no-brainer that we're all under a lot of stress. And then you've got the health foods that we're going to talk about. And then how that affects the pathogens in your gut. And it's this domino effect that occurs that creates these quote unquote healthy food issues in the gut and how your body's dealing with them. So number one, even the ketogenic diet that you look at, that so many people are doing, it's based on chicken, conventional beef, oils that are, it doesn't matter what kind of oils you're taking in, the processed foods that are low carb, all of these things. Well, I'm doing all the right things. I'm eating a low carb diet, and I've got these keto snacks and this keto ice cream, and I'm eating a whole bunch of chicken. Well, what happens is you've got a cycle, and the cycle starts with something called amyloids. And you've heard of the term amyloids from people saying there's amyloid plaque in Alzheimer's patients. Well, amyloids are from foods like chicken and conventional beef, and that's organic chicken, grass-fed chicken, every single type of chicken, and some turkey. And these amyloids strengthen the protein coat known as a biofilm around infectious and bad viruses or bacteria in the gut, make them stronger. And then those viruses like E. coli, or the bacteria like E. coli or salmonella, they become more resilient against the immune system. And then as a result, the biofilm and bacteria overgrowth throw the whole gut microbiome out of balance and lead to leaky gut. And this is, everyone hears about leaky gut, but they think if they're intermittent fasting, they're sticking to a low carb diet, they're going to heal their leaky gut. That's partially true. But then if you're eating these amyloid proteins, it's just going to be one step forward, 3 steps back. Then the body is further stressed, and it attempts to address the amyloid and pathogens by entering the bloodstream through the gut lining. And then that weakens the gut integrity. And then you get an overabundance of the pathogens that have become stronger. And so then those pathogens produce more amyloid structures. So food number one, in a long story short, is chicken and conventional beef. So when I talk to people about what you eat instead of those, you look to the wild animal proteins, the bison, lamb, deer, elk, duck, pheasant, wild fish, anything that's wild. They do not have the amyloid proteins, and those proteins have all of the amino acids and are overabundant in the nutrients, way much more than the kales and the blueberries and all these superfoods that we hear that we should be having. So that is number one. So you want to make sure you're taking in the right animal protein. And I highly recommend the animal protein. Animal protein and the omega-3 fatty acids are the only thing that you're consuming that triggers something in the gut called CCK. And that CCK hormone sends a signal to your brain to say, oh, I've got plenty to eat. My appetite is suppressed. I'm good. I'm full. And so it helps with your appetite suppressant and the cravings for sugar and carbs, which is a win for everybody. So you want to really focus on that good quality animal protein. The second one is the oxalates. Now, this is something that I had to find out through myself, and I got a horrible rash all over my body, could not figure out what it was. But I also didn't realize that oxalates were clogging my thyroid, because as soon as I eliminated them, I used the Accelerdyne iodine to detox my thyroid health boosted way up, my metabolism increased. But what are oxalates? Oxalates are in your green drinks. So when you go and you spend a lot of money on those organic green drinks and you think you're doing something right, you are actually taking away nature's barrier to eating too many vegetables at one time. There's a reason that nature put all that fiber in your vegetables. Who would go out and eat 2 huge stalks of celery like they would drink a big glass of celery juice? Having a couple sticks of celery doesn't have that many oxalates in it. But the celery juice, you've taken out the fiber, you're consuming way too much of it, and there's plenty of oxalates. And what it is oxalic acid is a natural occurring molecule that's toxic and corrosive. And when it attaches itself to a mineral like calcium, magnesium, potassium, or sodium, it becomes an oxalate. And these are in foods like almonds, spinach. Those are the 2 worst offenders. So everybody out there, I don't care who you are, you need to stop eating the almonds, the almond flour, the almond milk, the spinach, and kale. Kale is killer kale. Kale has the oxalates, and it also has sulfur, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And then Swiss chard, most nuts, most berries, and chocolate. I don't worry a lot about chocolate because hopefully you're having a small square of chocolate and not a big amount of it. But people are drinking and eating a lot of kale, thinking it's the healthy green vegetable. It's got a ton of nutrients and potassium. Well, you can get all those nutrients from your animal protein that we just talked about. And those oxalates in the kale is disrupting your absorption of the nutrients anyway, so you're probably not even taking it in, and it's causing leaky gut. It's causing your thyroid issues, because these oxalates love your thyroid. They love to get jabbed in there and clog it. They love to go into your joints and cause arthritic pain. A lot of people say, I just don't understand. I've taken care of my body so well. I work out every day. I stretch. I do yoga. I eat healthy, anti-inflammatory foods, and my joints hurt. Why is that? Well, it could be from these oxalates in there. It also causes kidney stones, gout, and anyone who has UTI issues that come, they probably have high amounts of oxalates in their diet. I had to pass a kidney stone this last year. It was no fun. I've delivered 3 babies. This was worse than any delivery I had. And I don't wish it upon anyone. There's a way to detox from the oxalates. But the problem with oxalates is it takes a couple of years to detox from them. It's not like sugar that's in and out of the system in a day. The oxalates are in your tissues, and you have to pull them out of the tissues into the blood and detox from them. And I have a protocol that does that if someone is suffering from that. But step number 1, you want to get rid of the oxalates. They could also be tripping up your detox pathways so that your body is not able to metabolize fat and the carbs and any food that you're taking in, and cause weight gain and bloat. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, it's very perceptive. You heard me take a breath.
Yeah.
So how does someone know? What would symptoms of an oxalate sensitivity or toxicity be?
It's something's not right when you've got brain fog, a slow metabolism, joint pain, like I mentioned, any urogenital issues, just pain down there, constant UTIs, kidney infections, bladder infections, just lower pain in that area in general, brain fog, weight gain, all of the above. And all of these things are working together too, where as I talked about the amyloid proteins, the oxalates are going to trip up that system where the amyloids are going to be stored in the tissues even more. So these 4 food groups that we're talking about work in conjunction with each other. Now, the problem with for me also, I had a skin rash that just broke out all over my body. And when you eliminate oxalates, if you have oxalates in your body and then you eliminate all of them, your body might go through a period of oxalate dumping where it says, oh, well, I don't have any coming in. Now I can get rid of them. And then you have these symptoms that get worse, not better, because your body's all of a sudden trying to get rid of all of it at once. It is recommended that you don't get rid of all of them right away. You take away like 30 to 40% of them, and then you slowly eliminate them, so your body isn't bombarded with such a big amount of dumping all at once.
Very helpful. Okay, so if somebody is having issues, are they always going to have issues, or can they dump some of this? Because I think some people will ask me, are you kidding? Like, I can't ever have that kale Brussels sprout salad that I like, and I'm just asking for a friend.
No.
Okay.
Yep. So good news. I am eating some of my berries again. I have a little chocolate. If I go to a restaurant and they have almonds or spinach in this, I'm not a fan of spinach, so I'm never going to say I'm going to eat it again. But those things that are on your list that you're like, I can't not have it. You can have those back again. Once you clear the oxalates out of your body and you've given your body a break. It's kind of like when you intermittent fast, you've allowed the body to heal through the fasting period, and then you're able to handle a little more carbs than you would before when you were insulin resistant, right? So your body has these detox pathways that are okay dealing with some of these foods, just not in the overabundance amount that we are eating in today's age. I mean, you are going from the standard American diet to eating kale salad and doing celery juicing and eating almonds and almond milk and almond flour because you're not eating wheat and gluten. You've just completely overburdened your body. So you eliminate them, you go through, I've got the supplements that help clear these much quicker, or just with time, it will work. And then you're able to start introducing some of them back. But it's a limit. There's a tipping point, and your body will tell you that's too much. For instance, we're going to get into sulfur foods. And sulfur is a compound and I'm going to come back to answer your question in a little more detail after I go through what sulfur foods are. But sulfur foods are found in a lot of healthy foods: garlic, onions, bok choy, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, like you said. Gosh, I'm missing one. All of the cruciferous vegetables. Oh, kale. So kale is killer kale because it's got sulfur and it's got the oxalates in it. These are ones, sulfur is needed in the body, but some people have a genetic disposition where our bodies can't detox from them. And egg yolks have them. So I always tell people, if you think you're sensitive to garlic or egg yolks, you have a sulfur issue, because those seem to be the ones that people are the most sensitive to, and will give them insight into that, okay, I need to stay away from this whole sulfur group. Now, back to your question, can I have these foods again? I can have some of the cruciferous vegetables again. I can have the onions again now that I've healed myself. I cannot have garlic, and I cannot have Brussels sprouts. I had 2 Brussels sprouts when I went out to a restaurant one night, and the next day I said, are you kidding me? My stomach looked like I was 9 months pregnant, but I can have plenty of the others. So a lot of the vegetables and the foods have a different amount of sulfur in it. So you're also looking at, which ones are the worst in the group.
Can
Does
you
that make
tell
sense?
me? Yeah, it totally does. Can you tell me? So, if somebody was sensitive to, say, egg yolks and the sulfur in them, what are they going to experience? Will it be bloating? Will it be gas, diarrhea, vomiting? Anything
Uh,
else?
yes, all of the above.
Oh, yummy!
And
Great.
yeah, all of the above. Everybody's different. Like, for instance, my husband's the kind of guy that has no stomach issues whatsoever. And he is sensitive to sulfur, to oxalates, to gluten. And he was thinking I was going to have all the allergies when we first got ourselves tested on these foods. And my symptoms all come into my gut, whether it's constipation, acne, I do get acne, or bloat. His is in his head. He gets headaches. So here he is thinking he has no gut issues, but his headaches are triggered by these sulfur or oxalate foods. And he's a firm believer because his headaches haven't come back when he's eliminated most of these foods. And then what else is a problem is that gluten that's found in grains and wheat is typically sprayed with glyphosate, which also contributes to the disruption of the sulfur metabolism. And then you've got the mycotoxins that are found in crops of corn, soy, and peanuts, which quote unquote can all be healthy, low carb, keto foods. And they are affecting the sulfur processing. And when that pathway is disrupted, we feel sick, stressed, tired, and you're going to have all the symptoms that you just asked me about.
Wow. Okay.
So there's one last food that you need to be careful of. And this is a biggie for those that are on a ketogenic diet. And that's too much dietary fat. Proper fat metabolism and absorption are critical. But if you are eating the wrong kind of fats or just too much fat, you're putting too much stress on the liver. The liver is where we break down fat. And as you know, Deborah, I'm a big proponent of doing liver flushes and cleanses because your liver, I treat my liver like it's my own child. I protect it because that's where you do all your detoxing. And I can tell when I need one because I will get nauseous if I eat too much fat. Now, this goes without saying that you need to stay away from the processed seed oils, the canola oil, peanut oil, grapeseed oil, all of those oils. You want to stick to the healthy fats like butter and ghee, coconut oil, avocado, and olive oil, of course. But personally, I stick to getting most of my fat from the animal proteins that it comes naturally with. And I find that my body does best with that. Because if you're wanting to lose body fat, why would you eat fat when your body can snack on its own fat stores? You're eating the proper amount of wild animal protein to get the nutrients and amino acids that your body's asking for. You're using carbs strategically around your workouts or at night or whenever you need to. And for women, it could be at a different time of their cycle. But the fat, let your body snack on its own fat stores. Now, if you're my son with 10% body fat, he needs extra fat. That's great. Fill in the calories with extra fat if you want to do that. But if you have a hard time metabolizing fat, some of the signs are just nausea, those bumps on the back of your arms, stool that's floating in the toilet. These are all signs that you may just be malabsorbed, fat malabsorbed, and not able to break it all down.
Great tips on the truth about all four of those. I've got a question here that comes to mind because this has been an obstacle, I will say, for those of you who are listening. No offense. This is just actually opening up questions that I hope will specifically help you. So for our vegans or vegetarians, women in midlife, still trying to make that work, it comes to my mind that it seems like these four food groups would show up worst for them. and getting protein from beans and legumes and consuming usually more than most leafy greens and vegetables than other individuals, are you finding that it is more common for them to have issues?
1,000%. Because
Wow.
the other problem is they're not getting the amino acids. Their thyroid's not working well because your thyroid needs tyrosine and the iodine. So the T4 and the T3 is 3 and 4 molecules of iodine, but that's attached to tyrosine, which is found in what else but animal protein. And you need the carnosine, which is found in animal protein and is not found in a vegan diet. And you also get a lot of people that are vegans with insulin resistance, because in order to get the right amount of amino acids, you have to eat so many calories and carbs to get that. And the beans are full of mold, and they're the mycotoxins, and they're also full of lectins. We didn't even talk about lectins. The lectins are in the grains and the beans, and then the nightshade vegetables like tomatoes and eggplant and pepper. Now, what's interesting, Deborah, is I and a lot of people are actually able to eat some of those vegetable lectin foods like the nightshades, and have a bigger problem with the oxalates or the sulfur. So this is where you kind of check to see, what's your body reacting to. But I just talked to a client in the hospital with an intestinal issue, and he's a vegan now. He's now a vegetarian, having some organic eggs. And I talked to him a little bit about, hey, can we try a little fish and see how that goes? And a lot of my vegans have said, okay, Sara, you've beaten it into me. I'll start with fish or I'll start with eggs. Because the other two foods that people have a problem with and they're on a plateau are the nuts and dairy. So some vegetarians will be eating only dairy as their protein, and some people are okay with that, but that could be triggering an insulin response. That could be causing bloat and diarrhea or constipation and acne and malabsorption issues. And nuts are extremely inflammatory and have a lot more inflammatory fats, the omega-6 fatty acids versus the omega-3s. And then a lot of vegans and vegetarians are that way because they didn't feel good eating the healthy, quote unquote, proteins of chicken and turkey, which are full of the amyloids. I can tell you every single time I even look at chicken, I get E. coli. It just triggers. I'm not even joking. It's like that E. coli goes, yes, feed me, because it is, as soon as that chicken enters my body, it would trigger a firestorm, and the E. coli would overpopulate. We all have E. coli. We all have salmonella. We all have H. pylori, but our good bacteria is keeping these ones in check. But when you have a trigger like chicken or an amyloid protein, that is going to cause a disbalance of the good versus the bad. So yes, to answer your question, you do see a big issue in vegans. Normally people go vegan and they're coming from a standard American diet, and they feel great for 6 months, not because of what they're eating, but because of what they're not eating. They've given up some of the processed foods. They're eating a cleaner diet. But then after 6 months, the body says, well, where's my iron? Where's my vitamin Bs? All vitamin Bs are found in animal protein. You don't get those in the vegetables. And you get more of the vitamin Cs and the vitamin As and all the other vitamins in the animal protein than you do in the kales and the blueberries. Now, we were joking last night. My husband got out the blueberries and says, well, I'm supposed to eat a half a cup of blueberries a day, right, to stay healthy? I said, eat the blueberries because you want to and you enjoy them. Don't eat them for the nutrition. and that's what we do. And I do love berries, and I do love these foods that we're talking about. So I eat them for enjoyment, but I center my plate around that wild animal protein. I always eat that first because like I mentioned before, it's triggering that CCK in the gut to tell my brain I've had enough to eat. So it helps keep my appetite in a normal range. And then I eat my vegetables afterwards. And I usually stick to a romaine lettuce, iceberg lettuce, some of those types of lettuces versus the spinach or the kale or the arugula. And then asparagus, artichoke, celery, cucumbers. Those are good basic vegetables that feed the gut and are pretty good for everybody. But this is the reason that a lot of people are going to the carnivore diet as an elimination diet, as a last straw. I need to just get rid of my chronic disease and I'm desperate. And then they start introducing some other foods back in once they've healed themselves.
So good. Okay. One last question I want to ask you, and then I definitely want to leave our listeners with where they can find more products and the information about the cleanse coming right to you. So I want to ask about this. Is there a way to test for somebody's got a ringing phone? You're a very popular girl.
No, it's not me.
Oh, is there a way to test for oxalate sensitivity specifically, or is it best just to go with signs and symptoms and test through elimination or detox? Or is it, there a time when you say, well, listen, let's test your GI for gut bacteria?
Yes, you can test for it. What I find though is that no one should be eating oxalates, and not totally, but it should be within a range, or and some people are more sensitive to it than others. So yes, I've learned a lot from Terry Cochran, and she does the testing for that. So I highly recommend her if you're desperate to really just get the answers. I believe you could also do some of the other food sensitivity tests. But I can tell you, as soon as I started eliminating the sulfur foods and the oxalate foods, my metabolism shot up. It just was amazing. It was like, oh my gosh, my fine-tuned machine of my body was actually working for me, not against me. And I didn't have to work out as hard, and I didn't have to just bang myself against the wall as far as what I'm putting in my mouth and how I'm exercising, and it just wasn't making sense. So what I recommend is eliminating the biggest offenders. Intermittent fasting is a tool that I believe works for everybody to help heal the gut. Some of the supplements to heal the gut and detox from these, the oxalates, and go after whatever ailment you are dealing with. Do a liver flush, and as you are healing, and you'll feel a difference. I've got a leaky gut bundle of supplements that really seals the gut. I was talking to someone yesterday, and she goes, I just can't believe my pooch, she calls it her pooch in her stomach, is going away and is going flat. And she works out every day, and she's extremely health minded. So there's a way to do that. And then you can start slowly introducing those foods again. Remember, when we have babies, the doctor tells you introduce a new food every 3 days. So you kind of do the same thing. You introduce a new food every couple of days, because if you have an allergic reaction or your body still doesn't like it, it could take 3 days to show you. It could be a rash that just explodes 3 days later. So you want to give your body time to give you the feedback. I also have a device on my website called the Genius Insight app, and it scans your body through your voice. So this is frequency healing. And then as it will tell you what foods are triggering you. So for instance, if I had a bad piece of fish, salmon would come up as one of my top hits. Now, or if I'm in an immune compromised situation where I can't even handle grass-fed beef, that will come up on my scan. So yes, you can use the Genius Insight app. And if anyone's interested, I can put them in contact to do a free trial and a free one-on-one consultation about or with it. But that device also tells you if you have an oxalate issue, a sulfur issue. I've created libraries on the Genius app for my clients that talk about all the different proteins, all the different sulfur foods, the oxalate foods, and maybe it's your liver that's causing the issue. Maybe it's your gut. Maybe you're suffering from dysbiosis in general, and that's your problem. So it's a really good at-home tool if you are wanting to take care of the issue yourself. My goal, Deborah, is to give you the control back, is to let people have the control back from the doctors, and it's in their own house, and they learn, because education is everything. As you mentioned in the beginning, my goal is to teach my clients not just what to eat or what to do, but the big why. It really sticks to the brain and becomes a lifestyle when you actually know why you're doing something.
So good. So appreciate that. Okay, listeners, this has been like a mouthful and a brainful, and I hope you got full while you were walking, or if you must commute, there was that. I'm going to put the link in the show notes, and you'll find that at flipping50.com/healthy foods. And the link will take you to Sara's site and her health products. And I will be putting in more because I can't right now. I'm in the middle of it. I will be putting in kind of a special edition in writing in the show notes that'll read kind of like a blog about my experience in detoxing. And so again, today's show notes will be at flipping50.com/healthy foods. And by the time this releases, I will have gone all the way through the detox and share my experience with you. So if there was a question that you wish I would have asked Sara, you can put that below the show notes. And what are you waiting for? Let's start Flipping 50 today.